Hello everybody, this is Bazker. Welcome back to another gaming video. Today we're going to be taking a look at Path of Exile. And I know I don't do a whole lot of Path of Exile videos, but that's because I just don't really have a good way of presenting them. I don't really make my own builds or anything. So that's why you don't see a whole lot of them. However, I do like to give the occasional update on what I'm doing in Path of Exile, just in case you're playing and looking for some ideas. So today we're going to take a look at the character that I have built for the Prophecy League. I am very loosely following a guide by Neversink, mostly just his tree and a few tips here and there. The tree that he is using is not dedicated to the skill I'm using. You could actually use it for just about any arrow bow skill out there, but I'm using it for tornado shot. And I just wanted to do a really quick overview and show you what we're doing. So, as I said, we are using Tornado Shot. If you're not sure what that is, it's a targeted attack that has a 100% chance to pierce with the initial attack, and then it sprays off a whole bunch of arrows in other directions. I'm running it with greater multiple projectiles, so you'll see I get a lot of arrows, and they hit. So anything in between here is going to get pierced and hit by the initial arrows, and then the spread at the end, they're going to get hit by all these little arrows that go off. If I do it over here, you can't really see where the arrows are hitting, but they're in there. You trust me, you'll get tons of them all the way around. And with this skill, I am also using Frenzy, and with Frenzy, all I'm using it for is to keep my Frenzy charges up. It's the only way I have to generate Frenzy charges, and I'm using it to apply a curse when I hit enemies. And open up my character here and give you a quick look here. For the Frenzy, I'm using Curse on Hit, Assassin's Mark, which is going to allow us to generate power charges, which gives us more critical strike chance. Enemies cursed with it will take a 9% additional chance to receive a critical strike, and they'll receive 20% extra critical strike damage. You'll also get some life and mana on kill if they're cursed, which is nice. I'm using greater multiple projectiles on Frenzy. This is the Frenzy skill. And I'm doing that strictly because I don't care about how much power this thing has. I just want to apply the curses and get my Frenzy charges. And then the Frenzy skill. If this was a 5-link, I would also include my Herald of Ice, which I'm running on this build. And then the explosions from Herald of Ice would cause curses to hit enemies around them. That's really nice. It does work. I've tested it multiple times. It does work, and it works really nicely. With the 6th link, I'd probably put in either Chain or Fork, one of the two, and then that way it would allow me to apply curses to more enemies at one time. Now, with that said, it will not apply multiple Frenzy charges during that time. So if I shoot an enemy with a whole bunch of arrows, they're still just going to get the one Frenzy charge, yet it only takes per hit of the attack. So 1 Frenzy charge, 2 Frenzy charge, 3 Frenzy charge. That's how that works. On my Herald of Ice, I am running Mana Leech support, so any explosions that happen and deal damage to enemies are going to leech mana back to me. I don't know how effective this actually is, but that's what I'm using right now, and I probably wouldn't use it later, especially, like I said, if I had a 6th link here. The bow I'm using is Death's Harp. I found this, and it's got a 50% increased critical strike chance, which is a perfect roll for that. 100% increased physical damage, 10% attack speed, 150% to global critical strike multiplier, which is really, really nice. And it adds an additional arrow. So even if I wasn't using GMP right here, so if I was to take this out, you see I still get 2 arrows. And that would probably actually be a fairly effective target on its own. 16,000 DPS there versus 12,000 here, so you are getting quite a big damage boost, but you're losing all this big area. And I can tell you it clears quite fast as it is. So this is my chest piece, and as you can see, it's nothing super special. Some high fire and lightning resistance is nice. The life regeneration does nothing for us because I'm running Vol Pact, which we'll see on the tree in a second. And I've added some life to it. I need a different chest piece, but prior to this I was running a Tabula Rasa, so this was a big upgrade from that. But and this is a piece of gear that I actually found, so until I have the currency to actually purchase something that's of a really good quality, this is what I'm going to be running probably. But I'd like to get something that's got a minimum of 1,000 evasion on it. Closer to 2,000 would be great. I have seen a few of those chest pieces out there. They're so little outside of my reach right now this early in the league. In this, I am running Tornado Shot, which I have up to 19% quality on it, so that's giving us 19% increased projectile damage. Greater multiple projectiles, which we've already seen, which we're getting less damage overall with this, but once I quality it up, we can negate some of that. And the extra arrows that come out from that spray are a big help. I'm using physical projectile attack damage. This is a 48% more physical projectile attack damage to the skill, 10% less projectile attack speed, which we're mitigating in other ways, so that's not so bad. But the more physical damage is excellent. Pierce, and I'll explain why Pierce is important in a second, but it is good to have because the sprays that we hit, so these sprays here, all the arrows that go off, those do not have a Pierce chance on their own, so we want to give them a Pierce chance. The initial lines here, those have a 100% chance to pierce. Plus, we're getting 27% more projectile damage from this for just having this skill in there. Weapon elemental damage support. So some of my gear, I'm getting some elemental damage added. Plus, we've got Hatred and we have Herald of Ice. I didn't mention, but we are running the Hatred aura as well. So we're getting weapon elemental damage from that. And physical to lightning support, which is giving us more elemental damage, but we're gaining 28% physical damage as extra lightning damage. So whatever our physical damage is, we're getting that plus 28% as additional damage. And then 50% of that physical damage is getting converted to lightning. So overall, we're getting a really nice 12,000 DPS, but bear in mind that's just for this initial hit here. And it's an average out of the critical multiplier, so we're actually getting a lot more damage. You'll see it clears really, really fast. The Pierce chance, the reason why that's important is I am using a drill neck, which I found, but they are very cheap this league. If you haven't looked for them, go ahead and look them up on poe.trade. You'll find they're pretty cheap. I think they're running about a chaos, maybe 2 a piece. Probably a little more for a nicely rolled one, but even a little one's going to do just fine. It gives you a 10% chance for arrows to pierce, which doesn't really do us any good from this aspect because, as I said, there's a 100% chance for the initial hit, and these projectiles that come off, they're projectiles, not arrows, so 10% doesn't count for those. But we're getting an attack speed boost, 350 to our evasion, a little bit of life is nice, some more physical damage is excellent, but the big kick here is the projectile damage increased by arrow pierce chance. So our pierce chance, and I'm going to not show you tornado shots, I'm going to show you frenzies, just to make it easier to see here. We have a 75% arrow pierce chance that's going to be applied to those projectiles that come out. If we do it on the tornado shot when we have a 100% chance, but I don't think it's 100% increased damage in this case because this skill has a 100% chance to hit anyways. I could be mistaken, we may be getting the 100%. It's really hard to calculate on how to do that, so that's the best way I know how to explain it. But our pierce chance is 115% in general. And if you look here, it's we just see the 75% chance on arrow pierce. So we're getting a minimum of 75% additional damage to our projectiles, and that does affect the little arrows that come out from the spray. So those little arrows are getting this additional projectile chance. Plus they're piercing based on the 115% pierce chance that we have. So really, really good for the build, and because of it, we are taking some pierce nodes on the tree. If you weren't using a drill neck, you wouldn't want to take those pierce nodes probably. For my necklace, nothing super special other than the fact that it has a lot of intelligence, and this build suffers greatly from intelligence and strength loss. We're just not picking any up on the tree, which means we have to get it from our gear, and it's better to get it from your gear so you're not wasting points on the tree picking up nodes that you don't really want to have. We are picking up some on the tree, but it's because they're parts of other clusters that we need. And it does have some resistances and some decent damage being applied to our skills too. Rings, just filling out resistances, a little bit of life and evasion. Same thing over here. Life, again, the regen does nothing for us. A little damage, but filling out our resistance mostly. Helmet, decent amount of evasion, especially when you consider I only have 400 on my chest piece. 635 on my helmet's really good. The enchant's not doing us any good on this build. I'm still rolling for that when I do the labs. Decent amount of life, some rarity, really good resistances for cold and fire. and inside it I'm running blink arrow, faster attacks, just so we can move around quicker, poison support. So poison support means that our blink arrow is going to be able to poison enemies when it hits. This is not needed for the build. It's just something I threw in there because I have it and I can level it. It may change to something else later. And then I've got hatred in here just because I needed a slot to put it in. On my gloves, a little bit of evasion, great resistances on this, and a little bit of life that I added. Cast Edict of Flames on hit, or Edict, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but of Flames on hit, and basically it's like a kind of like a little Ice Nova type effect that's fire that sprays out whenever you hit. I haven't seen where that's really effective on anything because there's rarely any enemies close enough to me to get hit by it, so that'll probably be getting changed at some point. I'm running an Enduring Cry, Summon Ice Golem, Hypothermia, Blind. So basically my Ice Golem can hit enemies and has a chance to freeze them if they're chilled, which we're chilling enemies a lot, and he's going to get more damage against those chilled enemies. Not that he does a lot of damage, but every little bit helps. And blind, so he can blind enemies. This was really nice in the early stages of leveling, not quite as effective the later we go. Certainly not important, again, kind of leveling it because I had a gem slot open. For my boots, I'm running a Terry Steps. I bought these off of PoE Trade. Really great evasion, good life, excellent move speed, 16% chance to dodge spell damage is excellent. The enchant on this is really good. 16% increased attack speed if you've killed recently, and recently is within 4 seconds. We're killing stuff all the time, so we're getting a 16% attack speed bonus all the time. Quite awesome. Which is not being calculated in this DPS, I might mind you. Even if you kill something, I think if you kill something you're going to see it, but you don't really have any time to take a look and see what you're getting. But with all my charges and everything up, I see about 21,000 if I remember correctly on my DPS here. But the DPS isn't all that important. I'm running a Val Haste. I kind of think Val Grace might be better, but right now I'm running Haste. It's okay. I'm doing cast when damage taken, Immortal Call. So we're going to get after a certain amount of damage is taken, we're going to have a Immortal Call pop, and for 0.4 seconds we're going to be immune. So that's excellent. Keeps us from getting one shot real easily. And if I have endurance charges up, which is why I'm running Enduring Cry, I'm manually casting this. I just got to remember to do it. But we can pump that up a little bit. We get that by 106%. So I think we get it up to right around a second, maybe 2. I'm not exactly sure how that works out, but it goes away pretty quick. And I'm running Desecrate on this cast when damage taken for no particular reason other than it's a skill I had that would fit that slot, and so I'm leveling it. On Enduring Cry, we are also going to get some bonus to our resistances, which isn't really needed, but it's still nice to have if you're running a map that's got LE Weak on it. And we're going to get a 12% physical damage reduction when we have 3 charges up, so that's nice. The life regen from it's not doing this any good at all. And for my belt, this is a belt that I found, and it was a very good find for me. It's got a lot of strength, which we really need. I had some physical damage, 10% increased maximum life. That's just something you don't find on gear. That's great. And then a little bit of cold, 25% increased flask recovery rate. So or life recovery rate. So when we pop a flask, we're going to gain our life back 25% quicker. That's nice. And just really, really quick, my flasks, I'm just going to kind of hover over them. Nothing super special. They all need to be upgraded for the most part. Basically, Bleed and Panicked is what I have. A Freeze Immune. Nice Quicksilver, 11 extra charges, 21% increased movement speed. So we're getting 61% increased movement speed when we pop this. That's quite nice. I would probably put another flask in here for physical damage reduction if I was looking for one and starting to craft one. Alright, and just really super fast here, we're going to take a really quick look at the tree. I'm a Deadeye Ranger. I guess we can go over that first. For my first set of points, I came up through this projectile node into Fast and Deadly. Gives us attack speed, projectile damage. Really, really nice. Another minor node here, and then Ricochet, so our skills can chain one time. That's really cool. And then I came up into this node here, and in Rupture, So we get a 25% chance to cause bleed on hit with attack. So 1 out of every 4 hits, roughly, is going to cause bleeding on an enemy. And as near as I can tell, that 25% chance is being rolled for the little projectiles that come out too, on its own. I could be wrong about that, but that's the way it looks, because I'll get bleeding enemies from those little arrows that come out, where I'm not getting bleeding on other enemies, so that's kind of cool to see. 40% or plus 40% to critical strike multiplier against bleeding enemies, so any of those enemies that are bleeding are going to have 40% more critical strike damage against them. Plus we get an 80% increased critical strike chance against bleeding enemies. So basically we're critting enemies all the time because they're bleeding all the time for the most part, and they're taking an extensive amount of damage. I didn't really show it, but on our crit damage, if we take a look at it, without any charges or anything, I'm sitting at almost 31% crit chance with a 449% critical strike multiplier. Once you add in the rupture stuff, so we're going to take and add another 80% chance on top of this. Now it's not going to be 100% chance or whatever there, that's going to figure into this, whatever our base crit is, plus 80%. So probably takes us up another maybe 2 or 3%, 4% maybe. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't looked at it that closely. I don't really get into the numbers game. I just get a feel for how things are clearing. But we're also going to get an additional 40% crit multiplier, which is going to stack on top of this, so it's going to take us up to 489. Pretty cool. And then another really nice effect from this node is moving while bleeding doesn't cause you to take extra damage. It still causes the enemies to take extra damage, but not us. So that's really nice. We're still going to get a lot of bleed damage against us potentially, but we're not. If we move around, we're not going to die instantly from it. So that's pretty cool. And pretty standard tree otherwise. And I will put a link to Neversink's build guide in the comments, so you can go out there and kind of build your own guide or your own build around that guide if you want. It's pretty standard for bow ranger. Come down in the evasion life, in the finesse. Then what I would recommend is you channel down through these dex nodes here, up in here, and then pick up these mana leech nodes as your first go. Mana is something you really need in this build. And I found early on I needed it more so than anything else, so that's my recommendation. If you're managing mana from items or something else, you might want to take a different route, but that's what I did. And then from there, I like to try to fill out the tree as much as possible with all these little stat nodes, and just get my pathing down. So I came down in through like here, all the way to the strength node, and then before I started filling anything else in, I came on up in through here, up into this node, and I didn't do this right away, but come up to here, and then that way once you start getting to like level, I don't know, 50ish or so, you can start popping those nodes into these, you know, heavy lifting nodes where you're actually going to see something from them, and because you're getting levels so quickly, you're getting points faster, so it just feels like you're doing more later in the game than it is early on. That said, if you find you need life or you need damage, you know, something like that, fill in those nodes as you need them. Just go where it makes sense to go. I would say early on, 50, 60-ish, somewhere in that area, go ahead and grab acrobatics, especially if you have evasion on your gear and you're not relying on armor or energy shield at all. Go ahead and pick this up. It's really nice. It's a great defensive mechanic, but I wouldn't bother with phase acrobatics until you get to like maybe level 80 or so. And beyond that, I just kind of filled in the nodes as I need them. I grabbed all these life nodes. I probably will pick up this 4% one at some point in time. For a while, I was running this life and mana leech node, but I kind of got that taken care of, so I spec'd out of it. Where my tree really differs from Neversink is these three right here. I really found I needed a lot more life leech, and because you get life leech from this node up here, but it's only 0.4%, and if you don't have it on gear or anything anywhere else, or running a support gem for it, then I found I really needed more. So I put this in, and that saved me a skill slot, because I was running it in place of weapon and elemental damage, running a life leech gem. So this is much better in my opinion. I'd rather spend the 3 points here and get the additional life leech and get additional damage here, which just helps our life leech in anyway. So that was my thought. You could skip this if you wanted. If you need more mana leech, go ahead and grab these nodes right here. It's worthwhile if you need them, and spec out of them later. Grab this life here. Grab this socket if you have a jewel to use in it. Currently I'm using this one. Not great. I can replace this. We have enough pierce chance that I don't think we really need this any longer. But we might. We might find another jewel that's got pierce chance as well as some life or something like that. That's what I would really like to see here. Come up into projectile nodes here. Fury bolts. Projectile damage, much needed strength. Accuracy is good. Art of the Gladiator. One of my favorite nodes. Gets to ignore movement penalties from gear and gets you some accuracy, a good attack speed bonus. Don't really need the dex, but the dex does count towards evasion, 5 to 1% there. So that's still nice, and you do get some accuracy from it too. Life here. Eventually you'd want to grab this life node, and you'd want to grab this life node too. Again, life regen on these nodes is not doing us any good because we're taking Val Pact, which if you don't know, what it'll do is anytime we leech life, it'll apply instantly. So we do the damage, we take the life, and it's just applied instantly to our things. Otherwise, it kind of works like a flask, and it regenerates your life over time. And granted, it regenerates pretty quickly, but you still got a lot of opportunity for some error in there. And with the mechanics of how much crit this build has, I think Val Pact's a good idea. From there, I would make sure and come up and grab Heart of Oak. You get some more life. Stun recovery is okay, I guess. Chance to avoid being stunned. Okay, that's good. But life is primarily what we're going through here. But we do get these nodes here too. If you find you're okay with life, you might want to spec into the mana nodes instead. That's a doable way too. Alternately, you could spec into this Frenzy node here to here. Come up this way, and then you could just knock out these nodes here, because you're going this direction. Actually, couldn't get rid of this one because of this one, so you could just spec out at this one. So I'm not sure if you're saving much there or not, but you can make your own decision on that. But at any rate, you want to make sure you get Ballistic Mastery. Really nice node there. Into Aspect of the Eagle and Aspect of the Lynx. These are really, really good nodes. Don't want to forego them. Some more life nodes over here. Definitely grab all those. Bow crit chance, crit multiplier, lethality, physical damage increase, 50% crit chance, 40% to crit multiplier. Really, really nice. I do recommend grabbing these nodes into Deadly Draw. 20% increased arrow speed, attack speed, physical damage. Nice nodes. If you are shooting for level 100, I'd probably end up filling these in at some point in time, but I'd make these the last 4 nodes of my journey. So like level 96, 7, 8, and 9. 97, 98, 99, 100, I guess is how that would work. And let's see here. Make sure and grab these evasion and life nodes here. In fact, I would grab these 2 nodes here at the end before I picked up this 5% node or this 5% node. Certainly before this 4% node. It's just a lot more bang for your buck. We already kind of showed this node up here. But come up and grab these. These are 6% nodes on either side, so that's 12% life right there plus another 8. So you're getting 20% life. Yeah, that's really good. And you want to make sure and come up in the Fangs of the Viper. Some increased physical damage. Chaos damage isn't doing us any good. Really, I guess it is kind of for the Desecrate, although we're not really including that in this build or anything, but it's there. Some move speed, a little bit of dex. Physical damage in the Will of Blades. Physical damage crit chance. Coordination, attack speed, dex, intelligence. Very nice. Cast speed is also going to help us with Enduring Cry, and also our Golem to an extent. Life nodes, make sure and grab these. Got much needed strength. Trickery, elemental damage, critical strike chance, some intelligence is really nice, and then a couple of crit nodes here. I'd probably go ahead and say that this 20% crit chance is worth it for a point. And what I'm working on right now, which I just picked up, I just hit level 86 just a map or so ago. Which I did record that map, and you'll see it at the end of this video. And right here, we're going to go into this bow damage and critical strike chance, another one here, and then King of the Hill. What really makes this nice is it works really well with our Ascendancy class. So 80% increased critical strike chance, very nice. knock back enemies if you get a critical strike with a bow. So we're constantly knocking things back, and the little spray of arrows, they're also getting this knockback effect. So we could potentially be knocking a boss back, like 5 or 6 times in one hit. And why that's nice is when they are bleeding with rupture, the enemy takes more damage when they're moving, just like we would if we didn't have this rupture node. So knockback counts as movement. So they're going to be taking a lot more damage from this. So I really want to pick those up. In the next couple of points I will be doing this. And I've even thought about speccing out of a node somewhere, like maybe a couple of the bow nodes or something, just to get those filled in. I think it would help me clear some of the higher tier maps a little easier. But anyways, that's where we're going. And then if I can actually run the Uber Lab when I try, we'll probably come up in the far shot. 30% additional damage the further the arrow travels. So I'm not sure how far it has to travel before it gains 30%, but it gets up to that 30% more damage. So that's a really good node. An argument could be made for powerful precision, but there's a cap on that damage. Arrow crit chance caps at 100, and we're already there, I think, or within 25% of it. So I just don't know that this is going to be good enough. The exception being is the last piece of this, where projectile critical strike chance increased by arrow pierce chance. So the projectiles themselves are going to get an additional critical strike chance, and that might be worth it. I don't know. I think that overall far shot's probably going to be better. An argument could be made for not coming up in the Rapture and grabbing endless munitions. But I really think Rupture is a better way to go. I think Bleed combined with that knockback node is really going to be nice. We'll see. We can always change out. It's a little expensive to do it, but you can spec out of these and change it up. So either way, I don't know that there's a right or wrong answer yet. I haven't tested it, but I think that Farshot's going to get us more bang for our buck over this powerful precision, because we're already doing so much piercing damage as it is. And I do believe that is going to be it. There is going to be a clip after this video showing a map run. I do believe it was a gorge, and I'm going to let that run. And there's a little bit of commentary on it, but nothing too critical. If you want to stick around for that, that is excellent. Please do so. And if not, that's the end of this video. And just remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you'd like. And let me know if you have any questions, and I'll catch you next time. Alright, for those of you who have stuck around to watch, we are going to run a quick map here, and I've got a map tier 8. It's a canyon map, and it's twinned, which I actually need the challenge for, so we're going to give this a go. I don't think it'll be any problem. So the way the mechanics work on this is really you want to use your frenzy until you get up to the 5 charges, and you can see we're up to almost 21,000 damage on tooltip with charges filled out, so that's quite cool. And you want to proc it every once in a while just so that you make sure and keep your charges up, plus you're applying the curse, so that's good. I'm mowing stuff down pretty good. It's a level 75, so I'm about 11 levels too high for this map in reality, but my map pool's kind of low, so running what I got. Another good option for the cast on damage taken would be for your golem. I'd have to have a lower golem for it to work with the build, but that's certainly a way that you could go. And then you wouldn't have to self-casting. Another option would be to give him something like life leech, life on hit, minion life, something like that, and then he'd stay alive a little longer, because that's the one problem I do have with the build. Just about any golem would work okay with this too. 10% critical strike chance is not bad or anything, but Lightning Golem might work out good for it. It's a damage boost from that. Actually, I'm not sure if that would or not. That might be a spell damage boost. I don't recall. I might have to look that up. Stone Golem would certainly be a good choice. Wouldn't fit in any of my colored slots at the moment, but it would certainly help out with some physical damage reduction. You can see we're hitting enemies that cross the path of the arrow, and then the little arrows are coming out and taking care of the rest of them. And as much crit as I've got on this build, I should probably do a little bit of research, so if you know the answer to this, please let me know. There may be a cap on crit chance. I don't think there is, but if there is, that's probably something I should look into. Because if there is, then we're critting enough as it is, and chances are I could drop some crit nodes from the tree. So do let me know if that's the case, and if it is the case, I'll probably do an updated build video with a better skill tree layout for the players that want to see it. However, I really don't want to treat this as a build guide so much as a video log of what I've done this season. Mostly for my own use. It's nice if people are getting some use out of this, but that would be my primary purpose of doing it, so I can kind of go back and look and see what I did this league and what worked, what didn't work. And at the moment, at least from a primary standpoint of damage dealing and life leech and everything, there's not a whole lot wrong with this build. I'm quite impressed with how well it's working. I'm a hoarder, so I pick up just about everything off the ground if it has any value at all. And I throw stuff away as necessary. So if you're wondering, why do you pick that up? It's just because I could. And I like to craft stuff, so I'll pick up like white rings and belts that are level 75 and amulets. And the trick is, it's kind of try to hit behind the enemy a little bit. That way you're getting maximum damage from those arrows that shoot off. You're going to pierce him, and then you're going to hit him again with the others. Self-casting Enduring Cry is something I almost never remember to do, so that's one of the reasons I'm not exactly sure how well I like it in this build. It certainly doesn't hurt, but you just gotta remember to hit it. I always try when my frenzy charges are about ready to run out. Oh, and looky there, we're gonna get a trial, and I think that might actually be the one I need. We'll do that at the end. And depending on how well I do in it, I may or may not actually show you, because I'll probably die. I did die in some of the trials. I get antsy. I don't want to deal with the traps. I just want to go. So I'm blink arrowing around and things like that. And I wondered what I was doing there. I had a phone ringing. I just check it out really quick. And I didn't really say, I don't think, what I had on my links on my helmet here. We'll go over that here in just a second as soon as I get a clear spot. Blink arrow, faster attack so we can get the blink arrow going faster. Poison support, peak and poison, don't really care. It's not necessary, but we can do it. And now we've got my hatred in there. I'm not sure if I went over that or not. Doesn't seem like I did. Faster casting is the only thing required there, and then said hatred is just I needed a place to put it.
I'm not up to that just yet.
Looks like I maybe forgot to come this way. Maybe not. Take that. I do pick up all maps. If you don't, I recommend you do. Maps are can always be upgraded by trading in 3 of the exact same map. You'll get stuff back. We got 9 monsters left somewhere we're gonna have to try to track down. So I do need this. See, I cleared pretty fast. I'm not exactly sure how long this has been, but there we go, cleared it. And we got a unique for our trouble, which I don't think is anything great, but there you go. Nothing in particular I care about. I have to look it up on PoE Trade, but I'm pretty sure I'd like an ALK for it. Alright, where's that trial at? Let's see if this is one I need. If it's one I need, we'll do it. Burning Rage. Nope, don't need it. So I am going to do this, but I'm not going to do it on the recording. But I want to pick up the map from the end of it, so I have it, although I've got a pretty nice stack of them already. So yeah, that's the end of this video. If you stuck around with me to see how this clears, let me know what you think. If there's any way to improve, let me know. But so far I'm really liking it, and it's some of the most fun I've had in Path of Exile. Parandus was maybe a little bit more fun, but Prophecy certainly has its points, and I really enjoy it. So if you like what you're seeing, click like, comment, subscribe. Catch you back next time.